Hello once again. This is our second session, January 17th, 2022, discussing heartful living. And the topic that we will be covering today is, what is my potential? Thanks so much, friends, for joining us. And others may come in as we keep going along. For another couple of minutes at least, we want to keep it open for discussion. And then I have some slides we want to show. So first, let's start off where we finished the first session on the request for us to connect inward and find that gratitude every morning. Did we have fun with it? Was it too challenging? Were we able to wake up and experience some gratitude before the day begins? Anybody can pitch in with your thoughts. You'll have to unmute yourself, as this thing, I think, mutes everybody as we come in.
Well, I found it not so hard to be grateful because, there are a lot of things to be thankful for. It's just a matter of making that habit of letting that be the first thing that I do, so that it sort of sets the framework for the day.
Sets the framework for the day, for the day's tasks, for the day's challenges, and more of everyday issues. If we can approach from that standpoint rather than our routine standpoint, we will be better off. And very good chance that the people and situations we interact with will also end up in everybody's favor. It's not like you win or I win. It's like we all can cooperate and everybody can thrive. So that mindset, that gratitude can show that it works for us that way. Excellent, Angela. Any other quick thoughts? So the request was, we wake up in the morning and before getting out of the bed, spending half a minute, 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes, thinking logically and then feeling, and then even deeper than feeling is that experience of that warmth, of a true experience of gratitude. It can be for something small that day, or something that happened last week, or for family, or for grandchildren, or anything, but let that gratitude begin our day is how we requested everybody to embrace heartful living last Monday. Yes, someone else was going to say something. Anyone can unmute yourself. We gave the toughest lesson as the first one last week. So I don't think we're going to do anything tougher than that in the next 8 sessions. And then once we start with that gratitude, smiling 20 times an hour becomes more intuitive. So that we can, it's not a specific number, but it's just like a target or a goal that we can strive towards. We don't have to reach it, but if we can keep smiling more and more through the day, that gratitude gets reinforced at a deeper level.
I just realized I was trying to mute myself, unmute in my little box, but you have to do it down at the bottom of the big box. So I wonder if other people are having the same problem. Could you hear me just now?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, I have the same thing. Like, I think I've been working on this for years to incorporate gratitude. And I do during the day a lot, but it's not usually my first thought. So I need to push it up. As it happens. I mean, sometimes we have as we're coming out of sleep, we don't really know what we're doing yet. So, but, and the other thing, what was the other thing that you just said?
Smiling 20 times an hour. When we are asleep, that's okay if we don't smile. But when we are awake, we want to insist.
I didn't think about that. That was hard for me because if I'm not, like when I'm talking to people and all, I laugh, I smile, it's not like I'm just gloomy all the time, but to smile randomly, especially if I'm feeling sad or worried, it feels really difficult. Like the incongruence is disturbing to me. So that was my experience for that so far.
Excellent. We are going to address that specifically today, because this is not any Indian religion that we are discussing. We are not discussing theology. We are discussing science. So if it works for you, only you need to follow. If it doesn't, we don't need you to follow it. Make sense? If I give you a blood pressure pill and your blood pressure doesn't come down, you're going to tell me to stop it and give something else. So in the next 8 weeks, we'll find 100 different things that might work with Anand's encouragement. But the reality is there are 1,000 different things you will find out of your own inspiration. So that is what we want to get at within the next 8 weeks.
It sounds good. And I just got this weekend. I had ordered it early in the week. So I don't know if you can see that.
Yes, we can see it. Seeking Hunger. We are so glad you are going to read it, and leave a review on Amazon so that others will be encouraged to get it and read it. The thing with the Seeking Hunger book is it doesn't tell how many calories we should eat, what type of food, whether we should eat plant-based or keto or whatever. It just tells how food is our way to do self-inquiry. What is the inner journey and how we can use our basic instinct of hunger towards that. So that's what this book encourages us to explore. So I'm glad you're going through it. It's very short read. It's not a very laborious read. So you should be able to use it.
Very short chapters. I only just got it. I had ordered it through Amazon, but it like two pages for a chapter. I can usually do that in one sitting real easy. So that's, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I've lost weight before counting calories, and I can't do it anymore. I just got overloaded with that. And I like this approach because it feels natural. I mean, I don't, it doesn't come naturally to me immediately, but it feels like a much more natural way to live.
So we didn't start off as a weight loss program. So until today, we don't count calories or say this is what you should eat or this is the diet. But in the last 5 years, much of the benefit in heart health for heart failure patients and coronary artery disease patients that our program has brought has been through losing excess weight. There are several people who started out with normal weight and who really benefited from this program, but there are many more people who have excess weight and who have really benefited from this. So it's not only for heart failure. The other thing you mentioned was it's hard to keep smiling when there are so many challenges. And there are people who are dealing with specific issues like depression, specifically PTSD and pain issues. And the people who've been through our program report to us that their pain medications and their depression medications, they're not just needing them anymore. So many of them are finding that our program gives them the ability to overcome not only heart issues, but their PTSD and depression. So I'm not going to claim that in the next 8 weeks, I'll fix all these things. I'm going to ask you to figure it out if it works for you. And we are trying to build cardiac resilience programs here in Missouri with the help of our VA system and in the university to try and formally evaluate our patients' physical and mental health. Because in this 8 weeks, I'm not actually being your doctor. I'm just sort of doing it as a webinar. But we want to do it as a clinic in a more inclusive way where you're being tested and given prescription on whatever latest evidence-based cardiac interventions and psychological tools and everything we want to do. But it may be a few months away. And keep coming back to seeing what we are offering in 6 months, even after this series is done. We hopefully will have much more that we can bring to help our communities. So shall we go ahead and share some slides if everybody is in?
Sure.
Are you able to see the full screen of the slide?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
What is my potential?
Doctor, actually, no.
We just see the presenter's view actually.
Oh, okay. Now is it full screen?
Yes, doctor. Thank you.
Thank you. If you can mute yourself for the next 15-20 minutes, we'll finish the slides and then we'll open it up back for questions. What is my potential? This is the 8-week series on heartful living. Today we are in the second week discussing how much can I gain through self-inquiry and silence. Our disclosures are High Life Journey, which is a nonprofit self-help tool, Seeking Hunger, book meant to help self-inquiry through understanding hunger. And I'm an advisor for Cardiac Wellness Institute in Chennai, India. This we discussed last week, looking at our understanding of everything we know about ourselves is only in the top 10%. The barrier is itself the logical mind, reasoning, thinking, our willpower. All of this limit our ability to totally use the subconscious 90% of our consciousness. So that is where emotions, values, and habits lie. But what we want to all the time emphasize, starting first thing in the morning, is our ability to experience gratitude. That's the difference between talking about theory of swimming and actually plunging into the water. So that gratitude is not a thought. It is not whatever we log as a diary or on our smart devices. It is the experience. So let us connect with that gratitude genuinely, and we will know when we try it, that in a day or two, that it's possible that we can deliberately reach deeper. And the specific reason why am I focusing on gratitude is because it is far deeper than any of our logical reasoning based skills that we've developed throughout our life can grasp. So gratitude lies much deeper. So that's why I invite you to start with gratitude, and your creativity will go up directly with that. And this heart mnemonic we discussed, being humble, connecting with empathy with the world around us and with our own goals and aspirations, and that reciprocation and ability to connect with others gives us the trust not only in people around us in our work environment, but also the trust that we are genuine and able to add value to our community. So that is so important in moving inward. The tools we will keep discussing again and again in the next 6 weeks is meditation, gratitude, love, creativity, sports, flow phenomenon, fasting, ikigai or meaning in life, and value of silence. This we now know through science, that life evolved over millions and millions of years in our planet Earth. And this is that tree where things branch off, and plants and animals, they are all forming. And then humans, we've been around now, they say, for 100 or maybe 200,000 years. But our ancestors and our cousins, they've been around for millions and millions of years. This may seem, oh yeah, I know this. Can you guess how long we have known this? One of you can unmute yourself and tell me. The scientific world has known this for how many years? Any guesses?
100?
Yes, maybe 100, 150 years since Darwin's time. This dates back 5,000 years. And this is now available thanks to Google for everybody to see. And the reference is also posted down there. And this is from Tolkapiam. And what this says is, in very few sentences, this is what it translates as. Evolution happened first with the development of the sense of touch, which plants have, then taste, which fish have, and then smell, termites develop it. And the next level of evolution is sight, which is present in crabs and beetles. And then hearing is present in beasts. And consciousness is what makes us human. This is what Siddha scriptures mentioned 5,000 years ago. How did they get this without archaeology, the latest gene technologies and all the other tools that we have. And Darwin had to spend years going around collecting specimens from all over the world to prove his theory of evolution. But we have known this for 5,000 years. And we've known one step further, that we can not only be conscious, that we can move towards super consciousness. All this is mentioned. But the most interesting thing I find is that in this same Tolkapiam, they have said people who do not use their mind wisely may not have gained the full benefit of human consciousness. And then, even more interestingly, they said it is not only the realm of humans to have consciousness. Some animals may be at that point already. This is what they felt 5,000 years ago. If you look at the most recent distinctions between humans and animals, you will find that there is probably not much separating us from animals, some of the smarter animals. By genes, we are 90-95% the same, just like our monkey cousins. But even by the consciousness definitions, science says it's so hard to distinguish and say this is what defines being a human. So that challenge they have looked at and they addressed it and left it like this in their wording, that consciousness needs to be used as discretion to make us human. So when we have a hands-on growth mindset, work hard, and feel that things need to be changed for the better and material success, this is somewhat different from what I'm trying to show you here. The opposite may be what seems aimless, acceptance of things as it is without trying to make too many changes, accepting things that they are okay as it is, and being minimalist and saying whatever I have may be enough. I don't have to have the next better car or a bigger home or material needs. So finding that life can be fulfilled within themselves. So this is a very different way of approaching life. So this you could look at as people who go after and try to bring more success. And this may be what uh, much of the Eastern philosophy uh, looks at, and they are more passive in looking at life. I'm not saying West is like this, East is like that. There are so many overlaps in all of this, but I'm just trying to, in my own mind, bridge how the world views people who go after more success versus people who are still comfortable with where they are. This you might have read somewhere. This is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This was written, I think, about 50, 60 years ago by a psychologist. And what he says is all that we discuss does not even matter if we don't have fresh air to breathe, water to drink, and food to keep us from starving. These are our most basic physiological needs. Once a man is getting these very basic things, then he will look for shelter, safety needs, and then he will want to feel a sense of belonging with his own community, family, and friends. That is the social needs. So once all these three things are filled, then he will move towards fulfilling his esteem needs, which is working towards education, power, recognition in his field, accomplishments, and things like that. So this is how a human being's evolution progresses. And then there are a few people who go beyond these needs and work towards self-actualization. So this is the concept where instead of focusing on how I can get more power, recognition, they are working on maximizing their time in this earth towards creativity. So this may be already at the cost of their own uh, self needs, their family's needs, their own financial costs. They may be working to give their utmost to society or to their specific cause. This is the highest level that Maslow wrote in his publications. But towards the end of his life, he realized there were some people who did not seem to be motivated even by this, what looks like a altruistic thing, because they were going even beyond that. They were transcending and starting to do that at the cost of their own self requirements. So that transcendence for helping others and directly deriving meaning from everyday living was something he recognized, but he did not specifically publish much on that area, because even the self-actualization probably is reached only by about 1 or 2% of society. This transcendence phase is probably 1 in 1,000 people who are lucky enough to experience all these levels of fulfillment and then go beyond it. So he's left it there in his lifetime. This is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. What we are finding is all this can be overcome through self-inquiry. So that red line, that's what it says. Transcendence is what Siddha is all about, self-inquiry is all about. And this is available to everyone. Anyone who wishes to look within can find this, no matter which level of this hierarchy we may be in the world's perspective or in our own perspective. This is the way that we are able to not only work on heart attack and heart failure, but also reduce the burden of chronic disease and mental health issues that so many of our patients, by the time they are 50, 60 years of age, are facing. And at that age of 70, when they are retired, 80, when they have very little energy to do much in the outdoors, they are still able to find so much meaning in their relationships, continue to be more productive and creative, and connect with happiness and confidence, and find that zest and energy in life. So all this is what we are now able to see. This is not what we started Heartful Living for in 2015, but all this we've been adding one after the other based on patients coming back and saying, "Doctor, this is what Heartful Living has done for me." I'm going to allow everyone to sort of interact for like 5 minutes so that we can just discuss this for a couple of minutes. And I have a few more slides I want to share. Any quick thoughts, suggestions?
So this is Marcia Dahl, and I was thinking through the hierarchy of needs in our society. If we could get people, those things that they need, like food, water, good housing, and then if they have a good job, then all these other things can follow. But it's a matter of getting them to do self-inquiry to obtain those things, I think, so that they can, reach that point of C and fulfillment, so then they turn around maybe and help others. So I think through self-inquiry, it allows us to be able to seek those things that are going to make us feel better about ourselves and others. But it's kind of a hard thing to do some days.
Thanks so much for such valuable input. This is the reality, right? We have so many things that are basic. Without that, we cannot move forward. So that's why deliberately I started this arrow in the second level. Without the very basic needs, we cannot. And just from here, so many of our heart patients are telling us that they are finding that fulfillment from within themselves. So that is why that gives me the confidence that yes, maybe all of us have the ability, once we have some basic needs fulfilled, to move ahead and find that inner peace within ourselves. So that's how we come up with this ambitious goal of trying to address much of our chronic challenges as well as our holistic life goals through self-inquiry.
I remember hearing a physician talk. I can't remember his name. He's from St. Louis, but he was guest lecturing, and he was talking about patients with, severe, might have been severe diabetes or some kind of health problem, and realizing that he couldn't talk to them about taking care of themselves because their lives were so chaotic and their needs were so great that he stopped addressing what they needed to do for their disease and started addressing, getting them stable, their life stable. That he had to
Beautiful.
do that.
So nice what you just brought to the table. For diabetes, we have insulin, we have oral medicines, we have blood tests that tell what our hemoglobin A1C is. And as physicians, that's what we are trained to try and manage. But there is so much going on in an individual's life that a physician may not be able to fix. Self-inquiry may not be able to fix, but self-inquiry can do definitely. In the last few years, we are seeing lot more than what I can do as a cardiologist. That's why these 8 hours are so special to me, to be able to reach to people who are interested in learning these things. And what the physician you're talking about has felt is the reality that life is so much bigger and the challenges are so vast. UJ has commented that some modern psychologists realize that Maslow's hierarchy is not necessarily sequential or bottom up. In fact, people who don't have the basic necessities but do enjoy some of the higher order needs and states. Excellent, which is very true. So this is some framework that we can use to discuss. That's why I used it. But what UJ says is very true. We are realizing that there is so much more to psychology and to life itself. So Maslow also himself realized some of this as his life progressed. So this is what we ask. Are you still able to see my slides full screen?
No longer now.
Oh, okay. I must have come off. I'm sorry. Is it full screen now?
Yes.
Super. When I am doing fun things, an hour seems like a few minutes. Just for want of time, today we'll go through the next few slides faster and then we'll open it up for discussion. So I request you to mute yourself for the next few minutes. So this is this concept of self-inquiry for multi-generational involvement in lifestyle enhancement. First, I thought if my patients, children and grandchildren learn these simple methods, we can encourage them to prevent heart disease for future generations. But what these grandchildren are showing me is they are inspiring their grandparents to adopt healthier lifestyles. So it works in so many ways to help families. So instead of, as a cardiologist, I take care of people in my office, but through Heartful Living, we are able to reach many generations. So a lot of times I invite families to come to these sessions so that my patient and their friends can benefit, their children, and more importantly, their grandchildren who are also unfortunately at excess risk for heart disease because of the family history. They can make the course correction much sooner in their life to avoid all heart and other vascular problems. So the request again is just smiling 20 times an hour. And this survey, we don't have it right now. So this slide, I'm sorry, is from the last series. And spread the word that these things are available online, and ask friends, children, and anyone who's interested to join our series. So this self-inquiry is about improving health and about celebrating life while we are coping with our life's challenges, and in this COVID world, while coping with the pandemic challenges on top of it. And despite all these risks, we can still look not only to live 100 years, but also to celebrate with good health our entire long life. So this, we are able to bring positive psychology, meditation, the concepts from Siddha Yoga and cardiology combined to help our communities and families get healthier. So much of this is made available at this highlifejourney.org, the website, and the last 2 years of series are all made free, available for everyone. So this book you already discussed a little bit, Seeking Hunger. It's available on Amazon, and it's only about 30 to 50 pages and should take less than half an hour, 1 hour for anyone to quickly review and see how we can relate better with food and thereby relate better with life itself. So this is the core of what we will come back to again and again in the next several sessions. Every night, try to minimize food intake for 14 hours. So if you finish dinner at 7 p.m., try to avoid any food intake until 9 a.m. So that would be 14 hours. And I believe people above the age of 10, we can safely do this, children, adults, except if you are having advanced liver or health health issues like eating disorders and pregnancy or liver failure. Other than that, and insulin requiring diabetics. So other than that, people can do this 14 hours very safely. And this we request you to do it out of gratitude for something specific or general. Some gratitude should be the basis of staying little hungry every day. That's the first thing. Second thing is, we're going to discuss this in the next few sessions. Any type of exercise you do, how to be a little more aware of how we are exercising. And this self-talk is from sports psychology, where we give ourselves a quick pep talk. If you don't have anything pep to talk about, you can use that 1 or 2 minutes to voice to yourself aloud what the biggest challenges you're facing that day, and then spend about 5 to 10 minutes in silence. 5 minutes is a long time if you sit in a room silently. That's all we request you to do, preferably with a 1 or 2 minute pep talk about something that is happening good to you in that day or in that week, and then trying to go into that silence in that positive outlook if possible. And this last thing may seem the most challenging for several people when I present this in detail, but today I'll just touch upon it. It's trying to do something kind deliberately. It may take a minute, maybe take a couple of minutes. For people who have some more time, you can spend like 30 minutes or a couple of hours a week volunteering at your church or at a food bank or some community center near your home, where you actually go and spend time to help people who are challenged in so many ways: disabilities, mental, physical, poverty, so many challenges in this COVID world. It's somewhat difficult to do this. Just writing a note of thank you note or something at a grocery store for the person who served you, or the cashier, or something kind you could deliberately attempt every day. And in the VA, where we've been doing this since 2015, it's a very simple thing. They just have to put on a overcoat, which is red in color, and that says, I'm a volunteer, how can I help? That's all the jacket says. And they feel so proud when they are able to spend some more time in that day to help other veterans go through their hospital course by just volunteering for a couple of hours in the front desk or somewhere. Since COVID started, we've not been I don't think, inviting any veterans to come and volunteer in our VA. But this you can still find safely in your own home, some ways that you can spend 1 or 2 minutes every day to do something kind that will make others feel more welcome or thought about. So that directly builds compassion towards people around us, and the concept of self-compassion, our ability to perceive ourselves in a good light. So that's what that's about. So this question, if in trouble, I look for solutions and answers within me first. For want of time, we're not going to do a survey, but you know whether you look for solutions within yourself, or if you would rather just take the easier route and blame it on the environment or the circumstance or somebody else that we are in this situation. So that is that fork that is going to be available to us throughout life, whether we want to look within for solutions. And more we look within, we will find that our life directly becomes better. So that's what this message is. So this question was asked about 5,000 years ago, and the pharaohs decided they have to look for answers, not only outside, even after death, they had to find answers. And the way they solved their problem was they spent their entire life building these pyramids for themselves. to go inside after they are dead so that they can have a safe journey into the afterlife. So I visited them in person. They are such amazing wonders of the world. But the reality is, when we look inside, they are still just a tomb. And if we look deeper into why they were built because of fear of what will happen to us after we die. When we are still alive, they were preoccupied with something that they cannot control. So that is where knowledge ends up sometimes misguiding us. Although it is the source of all our growth and success and power, and all our learning skills and habits come from knowledge. We owe a lot to knowledge, but to self-inquiry and to wisdom, we probably owe equally, if not more, because it involves unlearning. It involves being open enough to restart every day, because we have not accumulated anything by next morning. Happiness and fulfillment come from here. Resilience and zest for life starts from self-inquiry for everybody, whether we do it deliberately or not. So 5,000 years ago, when the pharaohs built the pyramids, much of the world, including India and every other country, followed along in this path of building more and material world. But at the same time, the Siddhars, they wrote these self-inquiry scripts that we are going to go spend some more time in the next few weeks in brief sessions, how these things can direct us inward and why we should move inward. And why we should move inward is this. If you look in the x-axis, you see the past. This is the present moment today, January 17th, when we are sitting here. And then this is the future. You can go in days for the next 100 days. And this is our comfort zone. Hopefully all of us are sitting comfortably in air-conditioned rooms where there's not much stress for us at this moment. But the pleasure can go up in the y-axis, or the pain can be perceived in the y-axis. That's what I'm trying to show here. And this is where our consciousness typically resides. We are able to perceive a little bit in the past and a little bit in the future. And our bandwidth is to accept some amount of challenge and some amount of pleasure. But most of us, unfortunately, carry a lot of regret about our life and a lot of anxiety about our future. It may be financial, it may be about family, it may be about health, maybe about so many things we have anxiety for. We do have some amount of gratitude and fulfillment, but that doesn't reach our consciousness. What we end up perceiving and what we are more connected to in the past is regret, and in the future is anxiety. When we are more mindful, we are able to expand our consciousness and become more resilient. Mindfulness directly makes us embrace more of life's challenges and accept better the good things that happen to us. So that is great. But beyond mindfulness, we call heartful living, which is directly self-inquiry. It does mindfulness, but much more than that also through our simple methods. And once we have that broader perspective, we are able to go back in time and rewrite our own history. Things that happened bad in our life 20 years, 30 years ago, we can reframe it in a positive light today with our heart. And same thing, we can look forward to the future, to eternity, with more optimism. And how we do that is through connecting with our body, with the people in our lives, through hunger and fasting, the hunger gratitude experience, and connecting with our calling in life. And this heartful living directly gives us the ability to experience deeper and deeper levels of gratitude and creativity, and experience fulfillment as an ongoing in the moment experience. So this is not in the future. I show it in the diagram here, but this is in the moment. As we experience the life's regrets and challenges and anxieties, they become so much more. They are still there in the same size. It's just that these two things have become 1,000-fold higher because we are relating to life from the subconscious. So that is what I invite you to gradually explore, starting through this Heartful Living series. So this is our new puppy. Now this picture is close to a year ago. So he came in very small. Now he's a year old. His name is Kulfi. And this is the first day he came home. This is the symbol for our consciousness, which is safe and comfortable in the winter cold. So we'll explore this much further in the next sessions. So did I come off the projection? You're able to see me now?
Yes, yes.
Super, super. So shall we try a few minutes of meditation and then we'll have some more question answers, if it's okay with everyone. So today we will learn just a simple seated breathing and self-awareness type meditation, where we talked about self-talk and silence, right? So we can assume that we've talked about so many things. So since we can actually try self-talk and silence today. Let me mute everyone so you'll know that nobody is hearing you. Let me go to the participants. We have 35 participants now. I'm going to mute everyone. So now, for about 20 seconds, whatever thought comes in your mind, it may be gratitude, it may be some pain in the back or some headache that you're experiencing, or it can be some worry about the COVID pandemic, or it may be something else, something fun that happened over the weekend. So think about it and talk to yourself aloud for next 20, 30 seconds about whatever thought comes to your mind, and then slowly drop into silence. And when we are in silence, how I would like you to experience it is sit back in your chair, as far back in your chair as you can, and let your neck not rest anywhere. Sit up a little more erect if you can in your chair, and let the neck be supported just by your body. And try to relax your feet, relax your abdomen. Feel the breath as it comes in the abdomen and your chest. So now I want you to talk to yourself for 20, 30 seconds, whatever thought comes to you, and then just breathe and relax. Then relax your neck also, relax your head, and then just keep focusing on the breath as it comes and goes from your nostril. Just focus on the nostril as the breath comes and goes. Half a minute of talking, 2 minutes of, 3 minutes of quiet breathing, and then we'll resume. I'm so grateful for all of you joining us in today's Heartful Living session. Typically, the one thing we ask people to do is to rub your hands and warm them up, and then you can put it on your eyes. But now in the COVID world, I don't even want to say that. Just to feel that warmth. So let's open it up for questions, discussions.
Well, this is Angela again. Thinking about breathing, with heart failure, shortness of breath is kind of a state of being some days. But just feeling the breath come and go made me think about how in life I need to take in those things that have happened, learn from them, but then I need to breathe out and let go of what is not still valid for today.
Excellent.
Breath
Excellent.
is essential.
You put it in a poetic way. I have to write it down so that next spring when I do this, I will teach what words you used, Angela. So nice you said that. And we will find everyone, once we go into that silence, we will find 100 different ways that are directly meaningful to us. So that is the beauty of the subconscious. Our logical mind is amazing. The subconscious is 100,000 times more capable. That is why we keep trying to use the full subconscious potential to make our life more directly meaningful and experiential rather than reactive to situations. And that's exactly what you described. With the breathing itself, you're able to experience some changes. When I ask my patients, take 5 minutes in the morning to sit down, doc, I don't have 5 minutes. When you eat, take 20 minutes to eat. No, I don't have 20 minutes to eat. I'm driving, and while I'm driving to work, I'm munching something on the way. So life has become very, very fast. So when I ask you for 5 minutes, that's a long time. That's why I built it into this 1 hour. Otherwise, if I ask people to do it afterwards, they may not find the time. So nice, Angela. You'll have to unmute yourself. Anyone is welcome to share their thoughts.
So I've been practicing this for a while, since last year, not very well at it, but I always find myself, thinking about other stuff while I'm trying to be quiet. Any tips on how to bring yourself back into just being instead of thinking about stuff that needs to be done?
I will answer that question when I find the answer myself. It's the hardest thing in the world. It is like saying, when the beach, there is not going to be any more waves on the beach, then I will enjoy it. The nature of the ocean is there will be waves. The nature of the mind is there will be thoughts. So you brought about the simplest and the most profound challenge in meditation. So till today, I don't believe I've mastered it in any way. Then why am I teaching it if I'm not a good master of being still and in that wave of higher consciousness? What I am trying to encourage us to recognize is that the value of that deep consciousness. So once that becomes our experience, that once that becomes our seat, then this logical mind, we can view at it as that puppy I showed you in that picture, Kulfi. He means a lot to me because he's at home and he brings so much joy to us. But every movement of his does not affect me in a direct way. I'm able to enjoy it, but I just look at him as a puppy. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that, our logical mind does a lot of good things for us, but it is not who we are. You will find this is your own experience. Once you break that barrier and spend more and more time deeper than the barrier. And passing that barrier does not mean we have to be silent and totally still in the logical mind. It's like clouds. Let it keep passing through. You can observe them and then try to bring your attention back to the breath, if possible. If not in the 3 minutes, 10 minutes that you're sitting in silence, if thoughts keep coming, that's okay. That's the nature of nature itself. So we're not fighting it. But still giving the few minutes to be quiet is the time that the subconscious needs for it to have a chance to be experienced and heard. Did I answer it in some way?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Yesterday, someone asked me, a good friend of mine who's known me for 10 years, 20 years. The question was, Anand, you teach this program, you talk about fasting. Have you fasted more than you should? I told her, this I don't talk about in meetings, but what you asked wants me to answer that question here in our group. There are several days that I did it more than I should. When I reach that point where I'm not putting enough food in the body, I can sense it in the tennis match that is slipping away from my hands. Because if I had a little more energy, I might have played a little longer, another 30 minutes. Like that, when I'm taking kulfi for a walk, I sometimes feel a little tired. So this happens in a year, about say 10, 15 days. In the last 3 years that I've done fasting, it has happened about 25, 30 days that I have not had enough energy to accomplish my day-to-day requirements. But that is the price I pay so happily to be in self-inquiry. When I say self-inquiry, what I'm trying to say is, when we are able to smile and be grateful while we are still a little bit hungry, that itself is the deepest possible level of self-inquiry, or you can say even meditation. So the logical mind does not need to be made quiet. If we can keep that zest and happiness and fulfillment as a true experience when we are hungry, that takes us much further than any mantra that we can practice or any specific postures or yoga techniques. This is day to day we can do this. Throughout our working hours, when we are driving to work, we can do this. We don't have to close our eyes. That's not safe for driving. But this smiling and gratitude we can do every moment of every activity of our life. This will in fact reduce our risk of even unnecessary dreams. As a cardiologist, my dad will remind, I think he's joined us, saying that even bad dreams can risk our life, because in sleep, people lose their life from heart attack. Even that we can reduce when we learn this level of intuitive living. We'll take more questions and quick discussions because we are running short of time for the next 2-3 minutes. And then I'm going to be here for another half hour. We'll stop the recording in a couple of minutes and then we can still answer any more questions you may have.
Doctor, can you hear me?
There is a lot of reverberation, Willie.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, a little louder will be great.
I don't know. Is that better?
Yes.
Your last class, you talked about when we, the 14 hours that we are fasting every day. I've learned how to do that. However, when it's time to eat, I haven't learned the true definition of being satisfied when you eat. So sometimes I believe overeat, and then sometimes I will not eat enough and still not only want more, but feel like I want more. And so I'm trying to determine, how do I best get to a point where I know that I've had enough?
Finding the answer to this is a lifetime journey for all of us. We don't want to know the answer. We want to keep finding the answer throughout life. And the only way to find that answer is by eating enough food that nourishes us and energizes us to do fun things with our life. We define health as the freedom to pursue life passionately. All of this comes into that answer, Willie. Thanks for asking that question. So the answer is eat slowly. Take 20 minutes to sit down and not watch television or talk a serious telephone conversation. Sit down with the food, with family, with your wife, and enjoy that food for 20 minutes at least. At the end of 20 minutes, if you're really hungry and you feel you've not had enough, definitely have an extra serving or 2 servings, whatever you need that day. But then the next time you sit down should be when you're really, really, really hungry again. It should not be just because somebody else is snacking or that we have an appointment to meet and have tea at some place for a meeting or something like that. We want to do that because we are really hungry again. So instead of emotional eating or habitual eating, we want to relate with our body directly, because where we are and where we want to be in the future is with the help of our body. And the way we relate directly with our body is through giving it the best possible nourishment that we can find, good food at home that we can cook with our own hands meticulously and tastefully, and then take 20 minutes to have that meal. And at the end of it, definitely if you need a little more, go ahead and enjoy it. Real whole food. We'll talk about, next session is about how to eat right. So we're going to discuss all this next week. But the answer is we're going to find every time again and again, Billy. Throughout, you keep finding that answer. Every day we can keep finding the answer. Thanks for joining us, Dad.
Thank
Anand,
you.
We can hear you.
I don't know. Anand, sorry. What I want to say only for a second, silence is the only way one will realize that self-realization. That's what you have been trying to drive that. And generally they say silence is the best way of communication. It's not that only when you are silent you can communicate. Silence is the only way when we can communicate, your mind, body, soul will get connected. Communicating this mind, body, soul only when you are in silence. And I used to say in many, many meetings, silence will avoid many problems. Smile will solve many, many problems. So silence is really a very practical tool to make you healthy. And the only one thing is they must start enjoying silence. And I always enjoy, as you have been enjoying, loneliness is the greatest gift for everyone must enjoy that. Same thing as silence is also must be equally good. Initially, they may feel that is a little difficult to disturb to get it. I think in practice, you will start enjoying. That's what I feel. Thanks a lot. You're doing a wonderful job, Anand.
Thanks for joining from India, Dad. So loneliness, that word we try to, there is, I think in the UK, a ministry for loneliness. They want to avoid people being lonely because it's a very challenging thing. Humans are social people. I think we want to say being alone is a blessing. We need to find some time to understand ourselves. So being alone, we can do that little better for a few minutes. But then when we want to have a meal, if we can have it with family and take time, 20 minutes with it, then that meal becomes more holistic rather than just
Super,
some
super.
calories that go in. Thanks so much, Dad, for joining us.
Thank you, Anand.
So I'm seeing some comments come in. Silence is a challenge for me. I will keep trying and be patient with myself. Excellent. So everybody need not follow all these things. Like I said, myself, I don't sit down and meditate every day. I feel when I'm hungry and I'm grateful, that itself is my way of connecting with myself. So whatever, we will discuss several more tools, and what works for you, you take up. You don't have to sit down and do that quiet meditation for 10 minutes. If it works for you, it works. Otherwise, don't worry. And then I find that if I can practice and experience gratefulness before I go to sleep, I sleep better and wake up refreshed. So Suruchi is saying that this is helping her sleep better. I've heard this from a few people in the last 10 years. We talk so much about health because that's what we are trained. About living life itself, not too many people talk about. So this heartful living is about holistic life. Sleeping is something specific that really not much has been explored. If there is a problem in sleeping, we have sleep studies that will fix it. But how to go into sleep? I've not come across much literature. I'm going to explore that. Now we have Siddhar Anbuganabadi, who is a Parambarya Siddhar. So he goes through literature written 5,000 years ago in Tamil, and he may give us some answers. What are the best ways to go to sleep? He may have some tips. But what I've heard from a few people is when they have the right frame of mind, if we start meditating before we go to sleep, the sleep is so much more refreshing and whole. That is what Suruchi is saying. Maybe she can unmute herself and talk about it for a couple of minutes to our group, either today or if she wants to collect her thoughts and bring some slides, whatever next session. There is some echo, Suruchi. So
Okay, can you hear me now?
yes, we don't see you yet, but we can hear you.
I've really enjoyed the session. Thank you so much. I've consciously therefore practicing gratitude, in the morning, like you had suggested, and you end up having a busy day. You've got teenagers at home. So at the end, when I get into bed to go to sleep, I just felt, I needed to calm my mind down, and I practiced the gratitude for a few minutes before I went to bed. And the calmness and the peace it brought me, I just felt that it made me sleep better and then get up also refreshed. So now I've done it over the past 1 week, once in the morning, and then I do it at night. And the night one seems to really help me.
It takes only one person to change me. So next session when we do in spring, I'm going to say do this at sleep. Thanks so much. See, that's how this program is built. It is built from the work that people have done with themselves. The self-inquiry is an ongoing self-exploration that so many people have shared with me. That's how I come up with these slides. It doesn't come just out of thin air. So thanks so much.
No, thank you, Anand. Thank you so much.
I miss, let me see what. So Malati is complimenting us. I missed the first session. Can you please touch on the topic of fasting? So that is the topic for the next 6 weeks also. So you'll be hearing enough of the fasting. Don't worry about it, because fasting was not something we taught until 2018. We talked about calorie restriction and eating more holistic plant-based foods that have less inflammation. That we've been talking since 2006. But since 2018, I myself started fasting. So then gradually we started exploring that, and people find that it is so direct, simple, and easy to do. And the world is now facing so much of excess calorie intake, and having ways to minimize that is directly going to help their heart health, while our inner journey and the self-inquiry also benefits so much more through this fasting. So you'll hear plenty of us discussions on this the next several weeks. You didn't miss anything in the last session. But those recordings, if you shoot me an email, I can Anand Chokkalingame at missouri.edu. If you shoot me an email, I can send you slides from last session and this session. So let me turn off the recording.